I'm Szilvester.
We play One Piece at Underworld Games, and we're here currently for a bit of a different style video as opposed to just gameplay, to talk a bit more about some of our thoughts and opinions that might be a little bit controversial, but probably not. Like talking about, say, these that are just on screen right now, about the band leaders, and if we believe that they could possibly make a return currently in the One Piece format.
Right. So, right off the bat, obviously, the card game itself has a banned and restricted list. Restricted cards are only able to be played as a one-off, and if a card is banned, you just can't play it. And any card, leaders and cards within the 50 are included. This naturally means that we do have some leader cards, i.e. cards that you can't build your deck around with. The first one that was hit is Sakazuki. So, within the set that it released, set 5, Sakazuki was at a good position. Later on, as a new certain set released with a certain card, being Gecko Moria, it has received a serious power boost. The colors, obviously, that Sakazuki is made out of, blue being a very removal-focused color with plenty of card advantage, and black being able to reduce cost, just created a deck that was able to remove virtually anything from the field, whilst also being able to retain a quite healthy hand size. And this just showed off with a obvious dominance when you went to large events. You were playing against either Sakazuki or Gecko Moria, for instance. That was the only thing that you saw in Top Cut.
Yeah.
And this dominance obviously then was ended with the leader being placed on the ban list.
Yeah.
And then later on, not so far back in the past, Trafalgar Law, one of the leaders that released from the ST10 Free Captains, which was also released along set 5. So both of the two leaders were released within the same time period. Law itself is red and purple, which is...
It doesn't synergize very
It's an interesting color combination because the two colors don't show much synergy with each other. However, the leader's ability, and later on as all the sets and support has released, the deck just evolved into a very high level of Dawn efficiency that was able to spam out mid-range characters with high value, and also at the same time just remove anything from the opponent's field. And the interesting thing is that Law itself wasn't a problem because Sakazuki was within the game. Any people that played Trafalgar Law, if they sat down in front of Sakazuki, they 9 out of 10 games lost because Sakazuki had so efficient removal, especially against mid-range type decks, that they just couldn't do anything. And then once Sakazuki was gone, just so appears that Law started to dominate, and
very, very heavily in Japan, Law was dominating. I think when Sakazuki was around, it was before it was banned. I think we had, was it Gecko Moria just out just after?
Yeah.
So it kind of flicked between the two.
Yeah.
But predominantly you used to see Sakazuki was topping. It was the most consistent, and then Law came through once Sakazuki then went away.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's not necessarily the leaders that are the problem, like you said, is more the support cards that went around it.
Yes.
Black and blue being such a good colour combination with the reduction from the black side. Removal as well on that as well, with also the blues bottom decking to remove more stickier cards, say Borsalinos.
Well, it is the most efficient
way of doing that. Red purple can work because obviously you have the power reduction, from the red side of things. It just doesn't, like you say, it's the synergize well, but it's the cards that you get to play out from the lore with it not being restricted. It's similar to how Sakazuki's drawing one and trashing one was such a really good aspect because you could get rid of all of your bad cards to eventually replay from trash, which is what Mori was there to do.
Yeah.
Whereas lore was very much you'd play like your Raise Max, you'd play Gordon, you'd -3 and so you bottom it, and then you would cheat something bigger out.
Yes.
Which would then be, it could be a rush card, it might be a Rageu, which is, oh, -3, I'm getting 2 more cards. Even to the point where Sachi Penguin, oh, I'm in a -3, I get 2 back. So you've only gone back 1 dot, which isn't that bad.
Yeah. So it obviously just comes down to the point of how the game has evolved over time and how the developers have learned from their mistakes.
Yeah.
So when the ban list announcing the retirement of Sakazuki came out, it was time synced. So the same ban list came into effect at the same time as it did with Japan.
Yes.
So when we had set 7 release,
Must have been set 7, yeah.
a week before that, we had the ban list removing Sakazuki. They learned from this, which is good, because the ban list removing Trafalgar Law from the gameplay was not time synced. It was moved forward, essentially preventing the same meta environment that Japan had to go through. And I was rejoiced when I saw that.
It was just before 08, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was just before OP08 that
yes.
got banned.
So we didn't have to go through a set 8 meta dominated by Trafalgar Law with the Black Maria combo left and right. It was pulled ahead. Developers at Bandai, people in charge of the banned and restricted list, for some reason, they've listened to our feedback from the players and they said, okay, you guys don't want to play with this meta environment because it is just so unhealthy. So we are going to say, yes, we will do you a favor. They pulled the ban list ahead and did a preemptive ban, as I would like to call it, preventing something really bad and unhealthy for the game for ever happening.
Yeah.
And it had a really positive effect on it because set 8 meta was best ever.
A lot more diverse, I would say.
It was lovely.
I think Sakazuki alone, when we got to set 7, necessarily was just replaced by Lucci.
Yeah.
The OP07 Lucci. But that could be expected. You're going to have one fall off and another one to come up. Lore, I don't think, after its ban, was never realistically replaced or got better in Red. Red was never getting any higher than when Lore was there.
If anything, within this same color combination, now with set 9 released, I think the other 2 structured deck 10 leaders, so Red Purple Luffy and Red Purple Eustace Kid, they have the potential as individual leaders and as deck to be tagged around, kitted out, to be in general good in this current meta environment. Will they ever do as well from a competitive standpoint as Law did? No. They just can't stand up to the efficiency and the level of removal that Law was able to provide. But both of those 2 decks are unique, interesting, fun to play with. And I think those 2 decks, especially now with set 9 released, have received plenty of well-needed support that they are now considered a healthy part of the rogue decks here to combat all the meta decks.
So I guess my first question then would be, with the new set offering more support necessarily, is there a world where, they probably won't, but is there a scenario where they could reinstate either of these leaders at any point in the near future? Like you say, with cards like Blackbeard, leader coming out, restricting a lot of on-play cards, which will remove a lot of what Sakazuki and Law would use as their support cards. Like I say, a lot of them require on-play effects. Would that not allow for them to come back?
I will get the easy part out of the way. Trafalgar Law is a definite no. So within set 9 and from a previous set from set 8, we've had 2 more cards brought in. One being Outlook Third, which is a 2-cost character with an activate main to bottom deck itself, and it gives 2 characters, not 1, 2 characters minus 2,000.
Yeah.
And then from set 9, one of the Red Hair Pirates characters has
Building Snake.
Yes, has the exact same effect where it bottom decks itself, but it gives minus 3,000.
I suppose as well, because the leader is an activate main, it's you play. You think about like the early support in Law, so let's say Raise Max, Gordon, they are all activate main effects, so it plays a lot more around
Yes.
Blackbeard. It's more the cards that you cheat out with the effect that lose a lot of the on plays. So let's
Yes.
say Rageus,
But-
Sachi Penguins.
But again,
Ruby
that
Round.
one is counteracted by you still running certain cards because
Black Maria
you have
still gets
to.
it back up because of the activate main effect.
But
yeah.
you just have then cards that have a when attacking effect to ramp you back, or a during your turn if a don gets returned, like
Yeah.
for example Charlotte Pudding.
Hmm.
Overall, within this color combination, especially for Trafalgar Law, there has been way too many cards printed as new support that plays into the playstyle that the leader promotes. Law, at this point in time, cannot come back. It just has way too much support.
That's an easy question then.
Sakazuki is a more interesting matter.
I would argue that both promos that were released after are. I'd say Sakazuki is more playable, but that's only because Law didn't have the support. But Sakazuki specifically, it's as someone who's tried to play it, it's very, very hard to kind of make it work within the current scape of the meta.
Yeah.
And to me, it's not necessarily the -1 when attacking, because you get that from Lucci in OP07. It's the trashing of one card to draw a card that was the main issue. Trashing a Navy card, I don't think is too bad. If you had that as the errata and you can still draw, as long as you're trashing Navy, you're not trashing like CP cards. So
Yeah.
say Lucci's, I think that is very viable that could have come back.
So I would have 3 arguments on why Sakazuki would be able to come back. First one being we have another leader within the meta that still has a cost-restricted effect to draw a card, that being Marco.
Yeah.
But it gets a benefit out of it, and that benefit plays into the play style that the deck wants to promote, of reducing cost and then playing around power. So Marco has that same effect of being able to manipulate your hand and getting a secondary benefit out of it. Sakazuki has the same way. You're manipulating 2 zones where you have resources.
Yes.
Without any argument, this type of effect where Sakazuki is able to filter the hand and stack up the trash at the same time, it is way more efficient and powerful within these colors. But we have seen Marco do quite well at events. So I wouldn't see any reason or any valid argument on why from this point Sakazuki wouldn't be able to come back. The second one being, as you have mentioned, the introduction of new leaders. One being obviously Marshall D. Teach, turning off on-play effects. I don't think it's going to be a big contender here in the Western meta, because people have seen it perform during the late stages of the Japan 09 meta, just because that's how much time people needed to figure it out. And if people over there had to take 2 months of events worth of time to figure out how to play the deck and what is the winning deck list, here in the West, where we are a set delayed, we already know what the winning deck list will look like, and we then prepare accordingly and go
try
up
to work
with
around it.
decks.
Yeah.
So, still, Teach, force to be reckoned with, takes skill, and within the right hands, with the right player, it is a strong deck. and I think it is good enough to triumph over decks like Sakazuki. The second leader, obviously, being Marco. So Marco has the ability with Sanji from set 6
Yes.
to spam out 2 large bodies,
2 9s.
2 9-cost bodies, one of them being Edward Newgate to boost your leader to 7k for the opponent's turn, making it pretty difficult to swing in, or just to play out some form of removal, being either Silver's Rayleigh or even a Shanks from all the way from set 1,
Yeah.
just to rush in with
Rush in straight 10k.
a 10k power. So
Especially you think you minus 2k with the Marco effect as well. So you're
that too.
You get the minus 2 onto a blocker even to get you, so it's unblockable.
Exactly. So, and obviously the third one, the big one that has given the well needed power boost to Red, Shanks itself. So we have 3 leaders who are all played quite heavily in the current meta environment. So with that, we have a good checks and balances system that would be able to allow the old Sakazuki to return.
Yeah.
Would it still be problematic with all the new support released? Yes. Which leads me to my third point, bans and restrictions.
Yeah.
If Sakazuki was ever to return, what cards would you need to remove or restrict within the game environment to make sure that the deck doesn't spiral out of hand? People obviously point to Gecko Moria. You can't.
Yeah, I would say.
Removing Gecko Moria from the game, or even just putting it to 1, will kill off Black Yellow Luffy.
And also Gecko Warrior itself.
Gecko Moria isn't played. It's
not
not
played to the extent
as
Lucci has, but
it's
still
not
played.
played to the extent, but it is still played within Lucci, although not at the numbers and ratios that it used to before. It is still played. So removing a boss drop like that from the game, or just restricting it to 1, would kill off an entire color within the game, and that's not how you would go about balancing existing game systems. The way you would want to do it is upping the power of whatever is weaker so that everything levels out. That's the healthy way of going at it.
Of course.
And that's exactly what happened in set 8 and set 9 now, which is why the game feels so amazing. The card I would be looking at would be Helmeppo from Structure Deck 6, I believe, the name Structure Deck. And Rebecca, the 4-cost blocker that enables the entire line to go happen and play out.
Yeah, 8 into 4 into 2 into essentially 3, I believe.
So Rebecca as a blocker has proven itself quite problematic, both in set 5, set 6, set 7, and then set 8 as well, with the whole Spandine, Helmeppo, Rob Lucci, that entire combo line is just... If Sakazuki was to come back, I think Rebecca, blocker, most definitely has to go on 1. Helmeppo, potentially. I could see an argument where it wouldn't be needed.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
But with Sakazuki, I am most definitely on the point of it should be considered to be allowed to return. And I am hopeful that people will start to have a more in-depth look into it to see how certain cards are forming, would be the best way, the current state of the meta. And that really is all that I can say about Sakazuki. Trafalgar Law, definite no. Sakazuki should spare the time to have a look at it and see what you could do to bring back a leader. And if you do, would you remove the promo card replacement that you have placed into the game. No, just keep it
No,
in.
you keep it as a little
They-
side.
As far as I'm aware, they have a different
Yeah,
card
different
number.
Yeah,
The new
so-
one being a promo card, and then
believe.
Sakazuki being from 05.
Yeah.
So they have different card numbers.
Mhm.
So you could keep both of them in.
Yeah, because even
People would obviously play with
people
the
will still,
original.
people will still collect. That's the thing.
Yes.
So even the new law promo that we haven't received in the UK, which is going to be coming, which is nowhere near as
Yeah.
good as what it used to be.
It is unfortunate, but
Yeah.
it is just what happens with games in general.
They're trying to find the balance of every colour, and that's the predominant meta. When we had Sakazuki around, it was predominantly black and blue, essentially. It still is maintained that to this point, I would say. I think it's only
Yes.
now that we're getting to, after Sakazuki, we're now obviously getting, like I say, Shanks is coming through a bit more. Teachers on the periphery, it's not going to be there yet.
Yeah.
But then
But
obviously,
in general, red and purple
Mm.
are now colors within the game that have received really, really good support.
Mm.
That they are now on the same power level as black is. Blue is now well established again.
yes.
Green needs some more working around with, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And yellow is going to receive a pretty hefty power boost in set 10.
Mm.
So altogether, the game is looking good.
Yeah.
It is getting to the point where the developers are starting to realize crucial mistakes that they have made in the past, learning from those mistakes as they should, and making new future changes to the game.
Yeah.
And I think that is the best and most positive aspect that I can say about the lovely people
Yeah.
who are helping us enjoy this game both at casual
Local
locals and at higher level,
Yeah.
more competitive plays.
Like I say, there's a lot of One Piece content. There's a lot of, in most places, One Piece product. It's in a relatively healthy place, I would say, but
It can do better.
it could do a little bit better from maybe the developer side every now and again.
Yeah.
A little now and again. Let's not take every flash at it. They do release these nice shiny cards for us to buy and use and play
Yeah.
with.
But obviously,
It gives us a lot of enjoyment.
they didn't know.
So
no
just-
one can see
We
the
don't-
future.
We
and-
don't want to just sit here and just completely
Yeah.
shit on them for
No,
no reason.
the-
It's worth us.
The game is most definitely going in a good direction.
Yes.
Can I, with confidence, say it goes in the right direction? Not so much, but it's going in a really, really good direction. And people learning from their mistakes and admitting that they have made a mistake, that is the most mature thing that I can applaud from someone.
Yeah.
And they did exactly that. That, oops, we screwed up, but hey, we're gonna do a quick fix on it, and sorry about the little mess we made.
Yeah.
They owed up to it, and that's all that matters. We carried on, and yeah, set 7 was a mess, but set 8, set 9, it's looking amazing.
Yeah, it's looking good. So we're not only looking at just doing these two leaders that are on screen.
Yes.
Yeah. We are going to be looking at all of the other cards that have currently been banned.
Yes.
And some are going to say some of them stages, some of them you can kind of understand, but some of them again, it's
We have a stage, 2 events.
two
and-
stages. We have Ennie's Lobby banned.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Ennie's Lobby was
forgot
taken
about
out of
that.
Lucci.
Yes, so we have 2 stages, 2 events, and
Reject. I remember the
Reject and Great Eruption.
Great Eruption, yes.
And,
You can talk.
Blue character,
Yes,
set 2.
yes, character as well.
Yes, Kabaji, yes, we'll be looking.
Yes.
We're going to look and see. That's what I mean. The premise of this idea is to look at these characters, leaders, to see if they can integrate back in. Some of them we will hard agree that they shouldn't.
Oh,
On
yes,
other ones, we will sit
absolutely.
there and we will say, yes, but there's going to be there might be
A
caveats.
catch.
I'd be quite a heavy believer that Moby Dick should be able to return, mainly because, like you say, you've got a lot of it. The leader itself, it's only under certain leaders it doesn't work. Maybe if it was only leader restricted, it might make a difference, which it is, I think. It boosts the characters and the leader on its turn, but it doesn't help Ace or Marco.
We'll go into
We'll
that
go
in
into that more,
detail.
but with with the introduction of Goldie Roger, swinging into like I say, a wide bid that might be at 8k, it's still 5k more. If it's just got blockers and no counter, you could see it returning. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There are ways it can work and ways it can't.
Obviously, there will be some cards that we will look into it, and then it could come back on 4, or it can come back on 1. But if it does, something might need to go.
Yeah.
It's gonna be more talk, and
It'll be more talk, but the idea is to link this as a series where we'll talk about it, we'll discuss our ideas, and then we'll try and look at play testing it, see if it can work, and we'll only be looking at working it into what is the current meta, not any old form of meta. So if we did bring back White Beetle Movie Deck, we would be playing it into decks that are currently topping, which is Blue Dofi, Shanks is probably going to be up there. Anything that's on that top, Black Yellow Luffy.
Black Yellow Luffy, yes,
everything
definitely.
that could be there. Teacher could even look at. We'll have a look at it and see if it can work. It may work. It may be way too strong still. And at that point, we will agree. Yeah, it should be banned outright. But
In short, we're gonna try and do the playtesting and save the time on the developers. Hopefully, if it reaches out far enough into the community, that people will start talking about it. We can hope.
But the main thing is we're going to have fun.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, playing with banned cards, breaking rules, what's more fun than that?
Right. This is looking at being like once a month. Maybe we might look at this sort of thing. The playtest will be done and cut together. But me, Szilvester, possibly even another, sitting next to us. It's nice to get other people's opinions. Newer players, older players, players that might have left will come back.
Who knows?
Would be interesting. So that's a definite now.
Low, definite no. Sakazuki, should think about it. So, make sure you tune in next time, and be sure to check out all the other videos up on the YouTube channel. All the sellout stuff. Like,
check out Underworld
comment,
Games.
subscribe, and make sure you also check out the unofficial sponsor of ours.
Of its own channel.
It's still sponsoring us, in a sense, with all the product.
Yes.
All right.
Till next time.
Till next time.